Good morning, I'm Bubba from Bubba's Tango 18. This is the boat and the build. So in this episode, we've been doing a multi-step process working on the cover for the breasthook. Now, I put a video out asking for the internet's advice. I got a lot of great comments. Then I put out another video asking if it should go on the top or the bottom. In that video, there was overwhelming support for placing it on top. So we're going that route. It looks a lot better in my opinion. We've done a mahogany and hard maple glue up. We've sanded it, we've cut it, and now we're in the processes of putting multiple coats, sanding in between of Total Boat's Gleam. On today's episode, we're going to continue that process. We're going to do a sand, a wipe down, and then start applying with a foam brush to build up coats, sanding in between. Now that we have an idea of what's happening there, we can finally glue this in and move on with the project. All right, thanks for watching.
Alright, so as you can see here, we have the piece that we finished on in the last video. Front view after it's been routed. And now we're laying out for the cleat layout. Figuring out where the holes are, utilizing the template. Clamped in place, ready to drill. And finally the picture from Instagram. All set in place. Lined up, looks beautiful. Another easy shot. And finally we're ready to start the varnish process. As you can see here, I've already laid down a coat or two. I believe this is the third coat. As you can see, we're using a chip brush. Now, as we're getting into the later coats, and after we've sanded with 240, we've switched over from a chip brush to a foam brush, allowing us to get a much better, cleaner, less air bubbly coverage. So this is just the second or third coat. I've waited an hour and a half in between coats at this point, and at 80 degrees. I've got a heater in this shop, so we're just laying down the coats, getting good, deep, thick coverage. So I'm getting ready to tip the varnish here in a second. Nice, easy, gentle coats one direction. Just gently pulling the brush across with light pressure. Hopefully this gets it to lay out a little bit nicer, and by the pictures here, I think it came out pretty good. So again, this is after the third coat, I believe. And this is in the process of drying now. I let it dry for 36 hours. And I was just amazed at the depth of the mahogany, and it seemed like it was metallic or translucent. I was really impressed. So I took these close-up shots.
Down on my little throne that you can barely see me, but I'm here. So what we've got is we've applied 3 coats to the mahogany. We've got tiny little air bubbles that have dried. It's been drying for about 36 hours. What I'm doing out here today is that we're going to take our sander and we're going to knock down. So we're going to hit it with some 240 and we're going to knock down all these air bubbles. I don't know if you can see that, if it's going to focus on it. But there's tiny little air bubbles in there that dried, so we want to get some nice deep clarity into this piece. There'll be a focal point up on the bow with that stainless polished cleat. Flattened out nicely. I'm gonna go inside and get some 220 that I can put on a hand block, and we will do the outside edges. I'm gonna wipe this down first just to see how it looks. Alright, so I got some piece of 220, a little sanding block, and we're going to attack we just got done doing the top of this, leveling it out. Went a little bit deep, went through the gleam right there on the edge, but it'll be alright. Super smooth now, looks good. I want to do all these edges, so I'm going to just wrap this block. Now this is wetter, this is wet and dry. I just want to attack this. That's ready for some more varnish. Recap, the first 3 coats that we put on, I just used a chip brush. We got it on there, and then so we sanded the majority of it probably back off. But now it's nice and level, and we're going to go inside and we're going to hit it utilizing the a foam brush, 1.5 inch foam brush, and lay down some nice passes. Hopefully it levels out and flows out nicely, and then we will sand in between. So now I'm going to start sanding. So I've done 220 for the base coat, put on 2 more coats, and did 220 again. Now it's nice, feels nice and flat. And I'm just going to start laying on some more coats, probably 2 more coats. Let that dry for another 24 to 36 hours, and then we'll come back and probably start with the Badger hairbrush and 400 grit, so we get some real, so it flows out really nice.
So, all right, as you can see, we've moved inside, and I'm applying the next coat of varnish onto the piece. Make sure I get good coverage. I'll dip the brush here in a second, and then go around the edge or even cross up, just to make sure that I get good even coverage. And in the end, I'll come back and do a little tipping softly across the entire piece, hopefully to get the varnish to lay flat and or run out flat.